Hope everybody out there's doing good. Try to get myself actually on camera. Might be a good idea. All right, there we go. Dan RadioStyle, of course. Thank you all for joining on this wonderful live adventure. Way too loud. Way too loud. And even not even good music. It's free, though, and I'm allowed to play it. That's the important thing. So I still pretend that it's actually Dan RadioStyle. Hey, thanks, everybody, for joining us. We've got a few people here. We're going to give a couple more minutes here. Or not minutes. A couple more segundos. Couple seconds here. See if we can let some others join in. If not, I got a really cool little thing I've thought about, created, became mine. I've not heard this anywhere else. It's got some new stuff, if you will. But fear, how to understand it. And I think by understanding it, and actually, I've got a couple ideas on how we can help remove it based off of which of these 4 categories you fall into. So kind of a fun discussion. We'll see how that all plays out. But welcome, everybody. We got what do we got? We got Brittany. She asked me a question early on. That's what happens when you jump in early. You get to ask special questions. Also, for you guys that are here early on, Q&A follows right after. So you guys kind of know the deal. I've been doing this for a few Saturdays now. Salma, hello. Hello, and everyone in chat. Yeah, of course. Courtney, Novia. Nice. Andrea, how are you? Hello. What? Woot, I'm in the house and ready to expand. Bam, I love it. Love it. Dude, Brittany, that was really nice of you. Thank you. Already, right off the bat, just being super wonderful. Brittany, you are the best. Thank you very much. So, yeah, let's get into it, guys. I think people will come as they do, and I'll just remind people later on that they can watch it. I don't want to make people wait. But anyway, fear, one of the things, and then, again, we'll get into Q&A. You got questions? We'll follow up with some great stuff. Let's turn this nonsense off, though. Let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that nonsense. Okay, so fear. F-E-A-R. So a lot of people have talked about the acronym. One of my favorites is F, everything, and run, which is kind of a funny one. I think there's some other stuff that people have come up with. But I broke it into 4 different categories that I think kind of will help us understand the way fear sort of works in our life and ways and techniques and processes that we can kind of go about to sort of handle fear if it's creeping up, if one of these 4 categories comes into play. And if you got another category, I'd love it. I'd certainly be happy to see those things. Hello, everybody. Again, I am Jay. Welcome, sir. We're going to get into this. 27 people. Good Lord. I guess it's good. Nice. Welcome. Bean. Wonderful. She's correcting herself. Autumn Beauty's here. All right. So the 4 categories of fear, and I'm going to do them slightly out of order from how you would spell it, F-E-A-R, right? Because it's just the way they came to me, and I think it's a better order to do them in. But I'll remind us of my fun little new acronym that I came up with. So the first one is legit fear, like grrr, right? Like you're in the forest and there's a friggin' bear or a coyote or whatever, a pack of coyotes, right? Like you're like, nah, the fear. That's good fear. If you have fear like that, run. Drop your groceries and run. Something bad's happening. You're walking down a dark alley. You got like 2 dudes are down there or something, right? And you're like, whoa, maybe shouldn't go that way. Not feeling good about it. Or hey, maybe it's 2 ladies, right? I want to be fair. That's gonna freak me out too. It's like, what are 2 ladies doing in this crazy dark alley right now? Like something's a little sketchy there, right? But that kind of fear is fear that we should listen to. So whenever you have that kind of fear, don't be like, oh no, I shouldn't be scared of the fact that there's a dog about to eat me. No, good fear. So reasonable fear is what I call that. That's the R in fear. If it were Pirate Day, that would have been very apropos, but it's not, unfortunately, so it's just me being strange. So the next one that I think happens with fear, I think people in general tend to fear things they don't understand. And I think one of the things that comes when you don't understand something is we generally look to others for advice. And a lot of us place our advice in different places. And a lot of these places that we place the advice might have certain assumptions about how the world works, about maybe how certain people are, about maybe how relationships are, maybe how it is to get into the field that you're trying to get into, maybe the idea of trying to get back with an ex, right? They've done it before, and I'll tell you what, right? Like, they all have this opinion about things. And so if we're trying to accomplish something, and we're not really sure about it. We don't understand it. We've never been there before. We've never had a lot of money. Maybe we've never had an awesome relationship, right? We've had a couple rocky ones, but we really haven't had a good one. Maybe we've never had a good job, right? Every job we've had sucked. We're trying to get a good one now. Whatever. And a lot of the times when we don't understand something, it freaks us out. It freaks us out. Now, in a lot of cases, I'll say, like, for examples, there's times where it's good, I think, and there's times where it's bad. For examples of good ones, like when I was going to do stand-up, which there's a link below if you want to see it. It was scary as hell to do it. Like, it freaked me out. The idea of doing it freaked me out. Skydiving's the only other thing that really scares me. I'll do that one day. But it scared me. That kind of fear is a good kind of fear. That's not the grr kind of fear, right? That's not reasonable. That's not a reasonable fear. There's no reason to be scared. What is, are they going to throw tomatoes at me? I mean, it's, it was in a somewhat controlled environment. If I wanted to do open mic, you've only got about 3 minutes to jack yourself, right? Come on, how bad can you do? So again, it was one of those things that's not a reasonable fear. So what my fear is based off of is assumptions. They, obviously standing in front of people and performing, very scary, kind of what I'm doing right now, a little nervous right before this fired off, even oddly, right? There's certain kinds of fear that you want to face. That's good. But there's also kinds of fears where we're trying to get into a career, trying to create something, trying to make something happen in our lives that isn't happening well. And so when that happens, we actually place a restriction on ourselves, or we basically listen to somebody that has an opinion that's not necessarily good. Money, for example, right? You've maybe got a friend that's not necessarily wealthy, but they've got some very strong opinions about how to make money or about wealthy people or why you wouldn't want to be that way, right? And they've got these strong opinions that we listen to. And when we listen to them, it kind of creates this weird like fear about the idea of being wealthy, or fear about the idea of trying to become this thing, or fear about the idea of starting a new business, even though we feel strongly inside. But, every 700% of all people that ever do anything fail in business in their first 4 days. Like, all this crazy stuff comes out, and it freaks you out. So these kinds of fears are the things where you basically need to realize it's more an issue of who we're listening to. If there's something you're trying to do that you don't understand at all, if you don't understand it, here are the people you listen to. People who have accomplished it. Don't talk to anyone who's failed. You can. And here's the thing. Asking people that failed is a great thing because it'll teach you what not to do. So ask away in those regards. But find some people that have succeeded, because you need to understand that too. Talk to them. Ask them questions. Make your assumptions, and we've talked about this in recent videos with Goddard. Make your assumption the positive. Make your assumption that this will work out. You don't understand it, but you're talking to someone who does, and they're giving you some good feedback, and you trust them. Make that your assumption rather than listening to the person that's never accomplished it, doesn't know anything, but has a bad opinion. That's one of the ways you can really help fix that fear when you don't understand it. The next one, not sure this works. There's a lot of us that aren't really sure, right? We've got this idea. We've played around with it maybe a little bit, not just law of attraction, but life in general, but trying to create something. We've played around with it a little bit, right? We got this, like, it seems to kind of work. I've gotten free waters. I found $1, blah, blah, blah. But we're not really sure there's something to this. I call this one frequency. This is the this is the F. That's how bad I am with the alphabet. This is the F with frequency. Starts with an R. Dan, you're a smart guy. Hello. But yeah, frequency. And it is kind of more an issue of practice. Practice makes perfect. Talk to other people that have succeeded. Kind of, again, one of those things that they always talk about. If you're ever trying to manifest anything, it's always a good idea to have people around you, at least somebody who's succeeded. It just really helps. The people we surround ourselves with, they really say pick the closest 5. Literally, take the closest 5 people around you and look at them. And that's really an indication of where you're at. And if you want to change directions, maybe plop one of those 5 out, maybe see them a little bit less, maybe grab someone, hopefully that you do know, that's a little more of the place you're trying to go. Maybe they've got more money, maybe they've got a great relationship, maybe they've been married 100,000 years, right? Whatever, right? Hang out with them more, because that's going to give you a better idea of how all this stuff works. Again, it's getting into that place. Neville Goddard talks about it all the time. You've got to be able to think of it, right? You imagine it to the place where it becomes the wish fulfilled because you feel it, it becomes real. Well, when we've got all these fears, they block that concept of what's real. They block our ability to get into that place because our mind's like, no, that's not going to happen. Or every time we get close, we freak out because we're not really sure this works. So again, frequency. If you're having a hard time with it, practice, practice, practice. Do more and more and more. Eventually, you get yourself to the point where you truly do accept that this works. How well it works, that's a different question. And I'm going to lead that to a second because this is a very important part of this particular letter, if you will. But the frequency, right? If you don't believe it works for sure, that's more like an on-off switch, right? You got to toggle. It's like, this doesn't work, it's off. This does work, it's on. This doesn't work, it's off. This does work, it's on. It's not right, okay? If you've got an on-off view of how manifestation works, we're in a bad place, right? So we need to practice frequency to where you can get to the point where you're like, okay, I'm pretty sure this works. How much it worked, I don't know. I'm on the fence. But I know it works. I know there's something to this. I've done certain things, and through thinking it, I was able to see the causation. I was able to see the connection to the thing. Like when I was thinking about it, when I was imagining it, when I was doing some effort, and then this happened. And then I did something similar, and I did it again, and then this happened. You will get to the point where you go, yes, there's definitely something to this. Now, in my opinion, this is where it becomes a dimmer. And a dimmer is a very different mindset if you think about it. On-off switch, very tricky. It either works or it doesn't. Very tough place to be. Dimmer, how much does this work? You're already on. You're already dim. You're like, this is very dim. It's very dim. I wonder if I do this, it gets brighter. Right? So there's a huge difference between the on-off and a dimmer switch. And when you finally realize, this is all kind of a dimmer, that fear goes away. Because now you know it works. Now you're not scared. Does this work? Does this not work? It's not going to happen. That's not how this plays. So give yourself the chance. Give yourself a way. Practice frequency. Make it happen more often. Last one, protection. This is one a lot of us do. And it's a very, very common. I've done it. You've done it. We've all done this. Okay? Some of us doing it right now. Right this very second. Shoot, there's probably someone in here that's already offended you. I'm going to open up for someone. Why does it say, you can't say stuff? Wu-Tang, I love it. Anyway, protection is the thing where something happened in the past, even something maybe from friends sometimes. Sometimes it can be an assumption from that standpoint too, but something happened to us in the past. And we constantly remind ourselves. We constantly bring it back up. Maybe we're abused in some way. Right? And so because of that, we've got this distorted image of people. And so all people are like that. And because we have this sort of distorted image, men are bad or whatever, right? Just for an example, because there's some bad men out there. I'll be honest, bad people, all races, colors, creeds, and everything, sexes and everything under the sun. There's versions of everybody that suck. And if we have that sucky filter on, we're going to see them everywhere we go. Right? So when we've had a bad experience, like abuse, like maybe abandonment, right? Maybe we had a breakup at one point and we're so afraid to love again. We're afraid we're going to get hurt. And I kind of liken this. The analogy I use is, imagine you're going to go outside, right? You want to enjoy nature, right? I want to go out and enjoy nature. I love nature. But, I had this one time where I got poison ivy. So I'm going to go out in nature, but we put on like a ski parka, right? We put on a ski parka, and we got a hood, we got maybe glasses just for the heck of it, right? And we throw a scarf. We put a scarf. Right? We're having a good old time outside in the air, but we're completely covered. Have no ability to experience anything because we've shrouded ourselves in this protective layer of clothing so we don't actually have the problem we had last time. Problem is, you never experience nature. Never. You're going out completely covered. You're missing the whole entire point of what nature is. So really what comes down to the protection is sometimes, if you really do want to move on, you got to take the chance. You've got to understand that, yes, you might get hurt again. Yes, you might. You might. You have to accept that fear. You have to face that fear square in the face and go, if I want to love again, there is a chance I could get hurt in the process. There's a chance, because otherwise I'm never going to be open to love. I'm never going to be receptive to someone's feelings because I'm always going to be blocked and guarded. I'm always going to have my entire outfit on, and I can't experience even the smallest amount of sunshine, right? You better be taking a vitamin D pill at that point, frankly, right? No sunshine's ever getting in your life. So We've got to open ourselves up. We've got to expose some skin. Get a little vitamin D floating around inside our bodies. We've got to allow it to happen. We've got to be vulnerable, or you're never going to expand again. And that's where we run into a lot of problems. So we've got to face that one. We've got to look that one square in the face and go, yes, you hurt me once, but I've made a lot of changes. I've grown a lot. I realize I create my own reality. And now that I'm better, now that I've changed, now that I've grown, now that my self-love's there, now that I realize what I deserve, I'm not going to allow that to happen. I'm not going to be with someone who's like that. I'm not going to be with someone, and I'm not going to keep associating myself with, I was abandoned once. I got broken up with once. I was whatever once. Someone thought I was fat. Whatever. Get over it. Because we have to. We have to accept the fact that whatever happened in the past is the past. And the longer we hold on to it, the more it's an anchor tugging us back, holding us from where we're trying to go. You got a dream of being something, and you've got some sort of freaky protection fear going on where you're trying to not let yourself experience anything, you're going to have a very hard time. This is the one I call exposed. This is the E. So fear is frequency. E is exposed. A is assumption. And R is reasonable. Dude, seriously. There's a friggin' tiger in front of you. Run. Don't run, because they'll probably eat you. Like, back away. Back away and maybe make whip sounds. Whoosh, whoosh. And maybe you have a chance. If not, that frigger's going to eat you. I'm sorry. You shouldn't be that close to a lion. That's a bad idea. So, open it up. Hope you guys got some questions. But this was, for those of you that are just rewatching this video and don't care about Q&A, even though some very fascinating stuff tends to come up in the QA world, you don't have to. But that was, fear. If you really compare and watch and worry about where you fall into the spectrum of things and how the fear is affecting you, there's some ways you can get around it. And when you do, you take away blockages. Fear blocks us. Fear's not a good thing. It kind of, right? It's like no, don't do this. And then the other part of us like, but I so want to do this. And then the fear's part's like, no, but look how scary it is. Man, you're like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to stand out here. And we never do it. So fear stops us from the things that we really, really desire. All right, I'm going to start scrolling through. We got a lot of people in here. This is awesome. 93 people right now. That's fantabulous. So again, Brittany, you're the best in the world. Thank you. Well, all of you guys are the best in the world. Don't get me wrong. Josephine, let's start here. Have you ever read the poetry of Williams Blake? Yeah, William Blake. William Blake. Yes. William Woodworth. I don't know. Ralph Waldo. Yeah, of course. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Yeah. Bunch of those guys. E. Cummings comes to mind, but he's American. He's not British. But anyway, yeah, I read a lot of poetry when I was younger. Written a lot of poetry. I got gobs of poetry I've written. But every girl that's ever been stuck in my life has received some form of poetry from me in some way, shape, or form. It is what I do. It's just how I love poetry. So yeah, here we go. Angel, V-Angel 111. Hey, Dan, when something bad happens to me, my friend always tells me something above was protecting you from... Well, yeah, so basically something's like, hey, when something bad happens, realizing that, hey, this is probably happening for a reason. I love where V-Angel's at. It's very true. And I do that all the time. And I'll tell you what, it has served me extremely well. Through the hard times, whenever anything hard has ever happened to me, the very nature of knowing that this is happening because it's helping me transfer to where I'm going. It's part of my manifestation. It's part of my journey. It makes all the bad things seem good. And I'll tell you what, looking back at like 100% of things, pretty much, it holds true to that. Or at least I can find ways that bad thing that happened actually benefited. And so, it's really hard to look at it as a bad thing anymore when you realize something good came from it. Now you're just like, well, it was a good blessing in disguise, as they call it. They have funny little, God works in mysterious ways, right? We have all these funny little phrases for a reason. People weird stuff happens, but it's pretty cool when it does. So there you go. Josephine, you're all over the place. Have you ever read, oh yeah, and then you hop back in. Did you ever see the movie Us? I don't think I've seen Us. I don't think I've seen that. CryptoCat, I manifested something within one day, keeping a mental diet, realizing it was just parallel realities and everything is a snapshot of time. Yeah, what did you manifest? You going into all this other stuff. What did you actually manifest? So share that down below. Wu-Tang, what's up, man? 23361. That's the Wu-Tang of all tangs. Flip-flop back and forth on my specific person. 1 minute I want them, the next I'm trying to manifest a text. So why? That's the big question I want to ask the Wu-Tang is what is the flip-flop? Is it like there's something about them when you're like, screw them? Or is it you getting to that place where you're like, if they don't like me, screw them. I don't want them. And then like 5 minutes later, you're like, but I love them. And then it's more, I miss them, I want to text. Or like, maybe give me a little context around that, because that's always kind of interesting how that stuff plays off. So hopefully when I get to it, it'll make sense. Courtney, speaking of on-off toggles, we know the only way to stay on more often than not is to practice. Does anyone want to join? Yeah, it might get blocked. I usually block links, and I'm going to probably block the link. Sorry, I just don't. I don't want to check it out, and I don't want to be responsible. And it's anyway. So, Joybell, what happens if something is a phobia? For example, spiders. So here's what I know, and this is funny. I got a funny little story, and I hate to tell this, but I love spiders. First off, and this helps in all cases. Spiders are wonderful, beautiful creatures. And there are places that I have agreements with them, by the way. And I do really very much am into the energy of nature, right? And I think all animals have kind of their own unique thing. And if you've ever had an animal, cats and dogs, very different animals, but they've got very unique personalities when you have them. Right? Interesting. So anyway, spiders. Someone was bringing them up one day, and he was making me look at crazy videos. And I swear to God, the next day there was a spider web attached to my car door in my garage. And it happened to be a black widow, which is weird because black widows don't do that. It's very weird for them to just be out in the open. And it was. It had the little red spot on it and all that. It was like, ah. So, I think I managed to let him out. But needless to say, talking about stuff like that, having phobias, fear draws things near. Yes, when you have fears about things, you will keep reaffirming that fear. So fears are generally very unhelpful. So if there's ways to work on making that go away. There's certainly spiritual practices. There's there's professional things you can do, like psychologists, shrinks, all that, whatever. Who knows? There's all sorts of crazy things that you can, not crazy, no, there's things you can try for sure. So I don't want to diminish by any means what you're going through. It would be probably pretty freaky to have stuff like that happen. Vinny, anything about, anything about the word retention in LOA? I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, that's an interesting question. Hi, Dan, Miss Hall. What do you think about the phrase, if they want to be with you, they would, when manifesting an SP? I don't like that because that places it on them. How you say it exactly? If they want to be with you, they would. That's not a good way. You should see it from the, why wouldn't they want to be with me? And this is a total self-love thing. Totally. And that difference is key, and hopefully that makes the difference for you, right? Like, of course they want to be with you. Who cares if they want to? Why wouldn't they, right? You're asking the question incorrectly. So come at it from the self-love side, that they deserve, you deserve this for sure, and they would be lucky to have you. Very, very different set of thinkings. Rabia Munir, I hope I said that right. Hi, Dan. There you are. There are many things I now look back and see, and I realize I actually thought the same what would happen, I think. But the loop is so thick that I'm unable to see and feel good. So I find that a lot of the times when we have repeating patterns, it's because you've got a belief that keeps you circling back around. It keeps you stuck within the gravity well of wherever you're at. And what you need to do is you need to actually look at that belief. You need to find that belief. You need to hear it pop up at some point. And you're like, oh, because you keep doing the same thing. You keep doing the same thing and you're like, I hope this changes everything. It's not, though. You're doing the same thing. So there's something that's happening, I think, that you keep repeating, because that's what I'm saying. Usually things repeat because we have an opportunity to do a choice again, and we choose the thing we chose exactly last time and the time before and the time before and the time before. And it's not working. We need to do that choice part differently. We need to choose, like whatever you would normally do, don't do that. Do something else. Try something different. Do it differently. Go to a different place, different source, different whatever. And you will probably see, you even added, even no good assumptions. Yeah, so if you can't even assume positive, you're kind of stuck in a weird place. And I think that's your block, is you're having a hard time controlling your thoughts. And I think you allow yourself to spin down negative thought paths because you can't, like you said, you can't even, you don't even have any assumptions. You can't even assume things are going to work out. That's a pretty tough place. So really need to bring it back to ourselves again. In a lot of cases, if because I can't have this person or thing or whatever is so strong that if I don't have it, my whole world's lost, that all the lights get turned out and it's completely darkness and it's cold and it's a freezing cold place. Like, way too much attention is on this person. That that's bad. That creates a giant separation. So that it's like, wow, we got to come way back to that. Like, are you a good person yourself? Do you have things you're kind of interested in? Are there any sorts of interests you have? Do you have a hobby of some kind? Like, really start to focus on you and finding a place where you're just like, yeah, no, I'm just content being me. And then now, oh yeah, I still want to be with so and so, but I'm cool. Like, if it's working its way out. But this huge, like, I have to have it or it's dark and bleak. That's a bad place to come from. It's really tough. It's really tough. So I wish you the best on that. Brittany runs marathons. That's really awesome. Okay. I love when you guys have conversations. It is awesome, by the way. I just sometimes makes it fun. Let's see. Wu-Tang's back. It's that I don't need them, but then it's I know she still loves me, and I do as well. I'm trying to let go, but it's hard. It sounds like you're on the fence, and you're in that place with self-love where you've gotten to that place where you're like, yeah, like this, I can imagine better. I don't know. I mean, I get they love you. So if there's a reason why it's still apart, I'd kind of be curious. I mean, you can love each other. It's great. You should love each other forever. I mean, I will say all the people I've ever broken up with in the past, actually I've been broken up with, but whatever. I still love them. All of them. Every one of them. Now, do I want to see them again? No. But I totally love them. Totally love them. So loving is not necessarily a reason to stay together or be together, as horrible as that might sound. But if that's necessarily a reason, but you can imagine better, and maybe there's someone that's got a more fitting, I don't know, like it could be, who knows? But you got to sometimes open up, like, is it love you want or is it them you want? And there's a big difference because those are two very different views of the same component, same love, same thing. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. It probably doesn't, but nah. Odin Lefty, I've seen you so many times. Dan, what is your take on the logos and how it affects us here now? Wow, so if you're talking like Law of One logos, I mean, that's like the start of it all, right? First there was logos. I mean, I am way into that stuff. That's so deep and such an awesome conversation. If it is what I think she's talking about, I mean, there could be some biblical references to logos, maybe in the old Hebrew Bibles or something, maybe, I don't know, but I believe that's the whole, in the beginning, there was the Word, and a lot of people represent logos as the Word or light or thought or creation or anything along those lines. I'm very into that, very, very, very into that, and it's kind of how supposedly solar systems and universes were created and all that. It's fascinating. Gets into higher dimensional realities and consciousness, and it's beautiful, beautiful stuff. So very, very cool that you brought that up. Odin, there you are. So yeah, I hope I'm doing justice. Maybe drop something else if I see you. I'll bring it up again. Do you have anything about fear of intimacy? Yes. First off, you got to get over it. If you're a girl, I'm going to tell you one thing. If you're a girl, you got nothing to worry about. Trust me. Dudes want to see you naked. Sorry, I'm just going to say it straight out. We do. That's how it works. Any shapes, sizes. We're really inquisitive when it comes to all the different variations that exist in the world. So most of the times, a lot of these insecurities come from ourselves, comes from the fact that we judge ourselves poorly, or maybe someone said we were bad in some way, shape, or form. But trust me, there are many, many men, no matter what you look like, no matter what shape you are, no matter what, there are many, many, many men out there that would want to experience that and see that. So intimacy, fear of that is usually an internal thing. So it's an issue of looking at why we don't feel good about ourselves. I mean, and one thing you can do, like, what is the thing that doesn't feel good? Is it a weight issue? I'm not saying please don't answer this, but just hypothetically for everybody, right? Is it a weight issue? All right, well, maybe get a gym membership. Like, you don't have to necessarily lose weight. You don't have to go all the time, and if only if it's healthy. But like, it's do something to help with that, right? That part of the intimacy, and you'll maybe lose a couple pounds, and you'll be like, my God, I like totally feel better about myself. Like, bam, there's your fear of intimacy starts going out the door. Now all of a sudden you're finding yourself wearing, low cut stuff, and you're wanting people to see, right? Just trying to show it off. So there's that, or maybe it's an issue of I don't know. Maybe there's, I don't know, any number of things. There's always ways to get around something, or trust me, there's plenty of people that want to experience what it is that you're bringing to the table. I can promise you. And I would assume on the other side of the table, I just can't speak for ladies. I'm pretty sure there's going to be plenty of other, because ladies, like, I've seen lots of ladies that are with some really crazy looking dudes, but obviously they're providing, the comfort they want, the security they want, maybe their safety or whatever. But I mean, I've seen some freaky looking people with some very, very interesting looking women, just like, how the hell did that ever happen? So again, everything can happen. Trust me. There's no limitations. The only limitations that exist are the ones that we place inside ourselves. Bam. All right. I feel like I'm losing where I'm at. All right, Delora. Currently stuck. I know who I want to be, confused of how to get there. I'm afraid of making a wrong decision because I have before and wasted so much time. Well, that's funny. You should bring that up. That is the protection. I have hurt myself before. Oh no, what shall I ever do? And the problem is when we do that, we block ourselves. So, fact is did you learn something from the time before? Question, first thing you should ask, right? If you've made a mistake in the past and you're afraid you're going to make it again, did you learn anything? Yes or no? And if the answer is yes, dude, Dan, hello, of course I did. All right, well, cool, great. If the same situation happened exactly how it happened last time, would you do it exactly the same way? And if your answer is yes, you need to go back to the drawing board. If your answer is, dude, no, Dan, of course. That's stupid. I learned. Hello. Then, boom, you're fine. Do it again because you're going to handle it differently. And trust me, that's the direction you need to go. The one you're scared of, it's probably the direction you need to go. You just need to figure out how to navigate those waters, right? It's very dangerous going around the Cape of Africa, but people have to do it. So rather than just saying, screw it, I'll sail the other way around the world for 270 days instead of 2 weeks. Not going to work. So they learned how to sail the scariest waters in the ocean, and they have. And people have gotten stuck in storms, and you got to keep going or you're going to die, right? So, it's just one of those things. Like, you can't let fear stop you. And of course, I over-dramatized it because I wanted to. I was trying to remember that Perfect Storm. That was the one, George Clooney in the boat, and he goes down, right? Like, you shouldn't have rid through that storm. That was a bad choice. They should have went the other way. But he got so many fish and then died with the boat and all the fish. So, bad idea. Yep, the word or love. Sweet. Oh, no, I was on it. Look at you. You and I are on the same page. You asked some great questions because you do stand out as one of the comments that pop up. So good. Carla Bowman, I hope I'm saying that right. When trying to manifest something, why would the universe send you signs that you are on the right path only for it not to work out? Like, did it not work out permanently, or did they start dating another person? And I would ask what the sign is. One of my favorite signs that I've asked for, just as an example, I don't know what you asked, but one of the examples I've given is, do they love me? Give me a sign if they love me. Well, they could love you, and they can be with someone else. You've all seen that happen. You know people that have done that, right? It can totally happen. So the fact that we asked for a sign to show that they loved us didn't necessarily tell us what they want. Now, saying something like, hey, are we going to be in a relationship together in the next 12 months? Show me a shooting star, within the next 5 minutes, whatever, right? Then that's a different story. Now you're being quite more specific about what you're asking for. So that's usually the thing I go to, because a lot of times, and most of the time, people ask for signs for really general, generic things. And that general, generic thing then means a lot more to us, but that's not really what you asked for. You didn't ask for this deep meaning. You asked for a thing to say, yeah, he loves me. And then in your mind, well, if he loves me, then that means he's going to be together. We're going to go. But that's not really what you asked for. And that's a very different question. People say I love you a lot. That gets dropped around like nobody's business. So that's kind of where I come from on that one. Let's see. Josephine, have you heard of Bernadette? You're asking a lot of people to channel positive. Anya talks to a lot of people, and I love Anya. Don't get me wrong. She's one of my very dear friends. She talks to a whole bunch of people. I don't follow all these people. First off, I've just got a lot going on in my life. I don't have time to watch all the different people out there. But there's a lot of great YouTubers. If you guys love them, and if you don't like my channel, find someone that you enjoy, that you resonate with. That's, I think, the most important thing when it comes to trying to find anyone that offers you advice. Like I was talking about when it comes to fear is, we need to be mindful of the fact that we need to resonate. We need to appreciate who we're dealing with and listening to, who we're talking to. If they seem like they've demonstrated what it is that we want, so there's a lot of factors that can come into play. So you got to kind of weigh all those options. All right, let's see what did Manala Soda. Let's see what why is it hiding her thing? Oh, it does kind of let me see it. All right, so hi, can someone help me out? I am manifesting my SP. Sometimes it's really good and happy relationship, and then suddenly not talking to me feels like I am chasing him. What do I do? Well, don't chase him, that's for sure. I hope other people are offering all sorts of wonderful help. Joy Bells, Dan Reyes, I'm trying to make an imaginal scene about a new perfect job. How should I incorporate all the things I want into one scene? I've scripted, but I want to imagine as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't know all the things you're trying to incorporate, so it's a tough question just for me to just randomly speculate on things. If things don't go together, then maybe you've got an image or a scene that might be a step further than maybe the next step. I've seen that happen before where, hey, I want to be an actor on TV, full time, and I've not even taken an acting class, and I'm trying to imagine that. That can be a big leap. So it depends. So the first thing, that's what popped in my head. So I don't know if that actually is germane. I hope it is. Or Janet or Michael, any one of the Jacksons will do here. But I don't know if that helps you in your situation. But a lot of times, if we're having a hard time figuring out how to incorporate all the things that we want, maybe it's better to kind of pull it a step back. And I'm not saying do the middle ground. I'm just saying maybe find a smaller milestone that's a little closer, that's a little easier to think of and admit, or not admit, but entertain. Come with, like, where you can imagine it, where with fully, where you can put all the emotion and feel the wish fulfill and all that stuff. So if that doesn't ask again, Joy, and you always put the at thing. That's really smart. Everyone's going to do it now, but that's what happens when you're not smart like me. All right, Courtney again. Anyone want to? No. Okay. Let's challenge each other. Okay, Autumn Beauty, hi. Good. Thank you, Dan. Cool. That's good. I'm run out of people. It's cool. It's creepy you look like my ex. You could be his brother. I am your ex, Kara. I'm kidding. I'm not, but I don't think anyway. It'd be funny if you were. If I am, put your real name, but and I'll say, oh yeah, I remember you. But no, yeah, I don't think so. But that is funny. But creepy. I like that. Jillian Schleger. Autumn's talking. Hey, cool. She's having fun. I love this. I love how you guys get a bigger kick out of, what's going on in here. That is fantabulous. JS, Dan, have you ever scripted before? Oh, yeah, I've done a scripting video. Have I ever scripted before? And have you been reading it every day and start to seeing your life change? So I kind of do manifestations a little differently than a lot of people that tend to watch these videos. I don't just focus on one thing. I got a lot of irons in the fire. I like having a lot of irons in the fire, and I'm not in a hurry with any of them. I'm just fine with the fact that they're slowly glowing because they're all popping up. So I got a lot of fun little things that happen often in my life. So I don't necessarily. There have been times where I've put more time and energy into it. And a lot of those times I found I was doing it because I was trying to make it. I was trying to influence it. I was trying to force it. I was trying to make it happen quicker. And I've always found that doesn't work either. So for me, a lot of it's just finding this cool, happy middle ground where I know it's on its way. I know it's happening. I know it's creating. I know it's manifesting. I know it's becoming part of my life. Like, there's so many ways you can say it. And words mean different things to everybody. So come up with your phrase. But ultimately, I realize all this stuff's happening. I don't doubt it. I don't question it. If I don't see it right now, I know it's coming. I don't, maybe tomorrow, maybe the day after. I don't know. I'm not worried about it. I really, truly am not worried about it because I have zero doubt that there is something to this. I have zero doubt that there is power to law of attraction. So it's very different when you don't doubt that this works. Now, do I always get the results I seek? No. There have been things I've not been able to manifest. Some would say I didn't do it properly. Some would say that I didn't believe. I don't know. A lot of people have a very fixated view on how manifestations happen, that no matter what, always, 100% of the time, you should be able to get what you want. I've just found life to not work out like that for me. 85% of the time, I've gotten exactly what I wanted. There's definitely been times where I didn't. Now, in hindsight, when I look back, I've realized that I benefited from not having that happen, that my life would have changed in ways that I didn't quite realize, especially compared to where my life ended up going later. They always say hindsight is 20/20 for a reason, right? When we look back and we go, oh, I can see why that might not have been the best thing for me. One example I use, if I would have won the lottery when I was 18 years old and actually invested it wisely and just basically become rich, I doubt I would have started a YouTube channel. I doubt I would have learned the things I did because I was so hungry. I doubt, my life would have turned out very differently and not necessarily in a better way. If you're here for some sort of reason, like I have always kind of believed I was here to affect millions of people. Like I just always felt that way. I don't know. My mom told me something stupid when I was younger and it just stuck with me. And I always have. I don't know. Something's wrong with me, but here I am doing it, right? So it's one of those things where sometimes something we're trying to manifest may keep you from something that's actually more important that's in your life. Like something that's way larger than this, who am I dating, or what cell phone do I have, or what house do I live in? Like sometimes there's larger things that matter more. And yeah, there's a dream house for you. It might not be that one up the street that you keep looking at. It might be in a different city because of something else that's going to happen in your life, right? And then you get your dream house. Things happen perfectly is what I've found, not necessarily how I imagined it exactly. So I don't know. That was a really long talk. Probably just lost everybody in that process. I apologize. Okay. Dan, what are you 2-3 ways to get happy? Autumn Beauty, great question. And I love this question. Dan, I think she's asking, what are your 2 to 3 ways to get happy? For me, the things that make me happy. One, music. I was listening to music before this. It gets me amped up. There's certain songs have certain feelings to me. I love to sing, right? Like, so I was in here singing and rocking out for like the last 30 minutes prior to going live on the show. One, to deal with the nerves, but two, I love the music. Gets me in a good mood, gets me pumped up, and gets me in a place where I'm ready and willing to go. I do love exercise and or walks in nature, stuff like that. Just anywhere, the beach, woods. Like, I just love nature. I love being around nature. It's exciting for me. What's another one I like? Conversations, I guess. There's some probably really key people in my life. Like I just had one this morning with a very good friend of mine that I generally only see on Saturday or Sunday mornings at the coffee shop. And, after a week of working remotely, sometimes it's really nice to talk to people that are very good friends and I just enjoy catching up with. And so that gets me jacked up in a good way. And so those are some of the things I do. I would recommend some of y'all share some of your favorite ways to be happy, but it's good to have your go-to, how to find happiness when you're miserable. Like I've found it. Now, I will say, when I've wanted to be sad and maybe I wanted to actually force a cry out, because sometimes for guys it's maybe a little more effort, sometimes not at all. But I might put on some sad music, or I might put on a sad movie, right? But sometimes, it just depends how I want to feel, and if I'm tired of feeling a certain way and I want to change it, a lot of times music's a big one for me. I had RadioStyle and all the stuff I've done, so good stuff. Tanyasha, I think I said that. Tanyasha? I don't know. I struggle with fear and doubt, and that's why I call psychic people, which drives me crazy. Oh, yeah, psychic. So I'm going to say one small thing on psychics. Guys don't need to believe me. You can. You don't have to. Psychics are fantastic in that they can generally, unless they're very gifted, but very, very, very few people fall into this category. Most psychics are kind of doing it more from an ego place. A lot of them. I'm not ripping on anybody. I'm sorry, but a lot of them are. But anyway, that being said, psychics tell you where you're at right now. Right this second, they're telling you what you've got around you. Now, if tomorrow you completely shift your energy, you start focusing in a different way, you start kind of changing some of your stuff, well, you've already affected what that psychic's told you. And in a lot of cases, psychics tell you something, and because of the nature of telling you, you end up behaving differently, and you change your future because of it. So it's funny how it sometimes plays out. They may say, so-and-so likes you. Well, you instantly start acting like you like so-and-so, and that so-and-so is like, hey, I know you like me. And they're like, what are you talking about? Well, psychic told me you like me. Are you nuts? Right? That's not going to fly real well. So I've seen it mess stuff up, and I've seen people be like, oh, I don't like the probable future, and they change their course, and then that probable future that sucks doesn't happen. So psychics are generally showing you your immediate future, your right now, really. And they're just picking up on your general vibration and translating that. So I just be careful. Don't accept it as proof of the future. The future's not been written not yet. Anyway, there's a lot of possibilities that exist. There's choices we make. We can get into all the quantum possibilities. There's a lot, but you haven't chosen the choices that choose that future yet. So it hasn't happened yet. So just understand, you can always affect the future. That's awesome. Isn't that the Logos? Yes, I would agree with you, Odin LaFay. That's a big part. I mean, Law of One was a huge thing with me. Another big one that you might like, if you look him up, is Drunvalo Melchizedek. He's got the Flower of Life or whatever, the 2 volumes of it. I've got it linked in my videos. Most of my videos, I put it in there, Drunvalo Melchizedek. He is amazing. Those 2 books have some really stuff that gets deep into our past, especially the stuff that crossed over, I think, from... I'm going to get crazy for a second. Sorry, people. But when we transitioned from Atlantis to ancient Egypt, that whole thing and the Library of Alexandria that disappeared, like they say. Anyway, a lot of stuff there. You and I would have fun conversations. There's no question about it. You're into some crazy stuff, and I love that, and so am I. Miss Hill again. Dan, I meant if a person don't call, text, etc., they don't want you. A lot of dating coaches would say find somebody else versus manifesting them back. If your whole idea is about falling in love, being in love, having someone love you, and you got one guy that's not doing it, yeah, dump him, kick him to the curb, right? You deserve better than that, Miss Hill. You do. If for some reason you've got some history with this guy, then maybe. But if he's just someone you've barely gotten to know, yeah, get to know someone else barely and see if you like them more, and then maybe you'll get to know them better. So I'm not 100% sure how that played out with you, but yeah, keep that in mind. If you're about finding love and there's one guy that's not doing it, and there's maybe other options, and you're saying you're going to dating coaches, then yeah, I would open up your possibilities. I think you're being a little too restrictive on yourself. You know, allow yourself the chance to find the right guy, not necessarily the guy you pick out, right? Just because you put crosshairs on someone doesn't necessarily mean they're the right guy. A lot of times you should open it up and say, hey, universe, or higher self, or God, or Allah, show me who it is that I should be with. And then, bam, look at that. Everything gets kind of shown to you. Wow, it skips in such weird ways when I scroll like that. That's so bummer. So yeah, there we go. Cool. Big T, dude, I love Big T. He's a new guy. He's been commenting too. You're another one that stands out to me. No offense, a lot of you guys stand out, but Big T's cool. He's been coming in lately, and I love it. And he uses Logos word to cancel a debt to a relative with an interest of $20K, and the manifestation was $7K more. That is awesome. Logos word. Yeah, the power of the word for sure. If you guys are talking from that standpoint, I mean, again, Logos means a lot of things to me. But yeah, the power of the word is extremely powerful. Written law. Okay. Cool. Love it. Love it. Big T's good stuff. Julian Schleger again. Q. How do you quickly shift out of fear? Quickly. Have you ever spoken yet? Sorry, I just joined. No, it's cool. I haven't. Well, yeah, I mean, you probably want to watch the beginning of this because I did an entire thing that really talks about it. I would be careful with quickly. I don't like that word ever. I really don't ever like it when anyone ever asks me how I can do something quickly. That's bad. Like right off the bat, I feel like as a general rule, I'm not ever black and white, right? And there's always exceptions. But quickly shift out of fear. I would remove that word from your vocabulary anytime you possibly can and say, how do you shift out of fear? That's a way better question. And yes, listen to the earlier part of this video, and you will definitely hear stuff that should help you. And I break it into 4 different fears, one of which is probably not the case, but the other 3 maybe, so it might be worth it. I am Wendy with an I. I love what you're saying. How do you attract this sort of mental... she's asking how I attract mental flexibility. I do mental stretching, mental gymnastics, and mental flips. Your example about attracting your dream house up the street, but that it may be a beautiful house in another city. I hope you have more words that come. I don't see them. All right. Well, cool. Maybe finish that thought. Autumn Beauty, thanks for answering my question. That's awesome. Question everything. To write top 3 music exercises and good food and drink for me. Awesome. I like that. Music, good. Connect on a lot of people, I think, with that one. So question everything. If you make a list, say 30 things I want in an ideal partner or in my dream job, what do you do with it after you've written it? Well, written it. You like how I just written it? I somehow past tense to past tense? That's called beating up grammar in the face. That's kicking the grammar puppy right there is what that's doing. So it depends on you. I know some people are different than other people. That's what I've come to find in life. If you got a list of 30 things, 30 is awesome. I love the fact that there's so many. I would say it's something a lot of people are going to probably chime into. Something you should read on a regular basis, maybe daily, maybe weekly, whatever. Maybe it's something you put in a place that you see it on a regular basis and you kind of keep it fresh in your mind. It's just a good thing to keep in mind because this is really when you start to have things manifesting in your life. You might manifest a couple people as tests almost to see if you're really kind of holding true to this ideal, this thought, right? That knowing that I'm manifesting this, and sometimes life might throw you a couple, this one's got 12 of the 30, this one's got 18 of the 30, and a couple of them are really good, but it's still missing a bunch. What do? Do you choose that path, or do you go, no, it's most of it, but no, I deserve all 30 of these. I'm getting all 30 of these, right? And then, bam, the next guy you meet's got 26 of them. And you're like, yeah, those other 4 are kind of being a little ridiculous anyway, right? Like, of course, he's not going to ride in on a white horse, a white stallion. All right, fine. Cross that one off. Right? So that works, I think, really well. And I think it just depends on how your mind works and how you process your day and how often you doubt things and question things and all that kind of good stuff. So hopefully that helps. Yeah. And let's see. Josephine DeMarco's back in. You said you used to write poetry, but have you written any fiction? I kind of funny. I wrote a fiction book when I was in 5th grade. It was called Waldo's First Day at School. And I even had bound it. I have it actually somewhere. Maybe one day I'll pull it out, but no one's going to remember it from this video. But yeah, I wrote a horrible book, but it was awesome. I did it in 5th grade. Outside of that, I got a brother that writes, and I've written like jokes and stuff like that. My sister writes skits and comedy. Like we're all into that, but I don't really. One day maybe I'll change, but I don't really enjoy writing that much. I enjoy journaling. I love writing in that regard, and I love writing in pencil, oddly. But I don't know. I'm just weird that way. I don't want to write a book. I don't want to be an author. I just don't like writing and talk to enough people that have been authors. It just sounds like a pain. So I don't know. Maybe one day I'll do it, but yeah, I haven't written any fiction or nonfiction for that matter. Josephine, yeah, you already asked that. Tanisha's talking. So after seeing synchronicity in repeated numbers, but I still show coming what it means and how to resolve it. So Manala Soda, you're like really in a negative place right now. And when you're in a very negative, and it's obvious by all your questions there's a lot of hurt and sorrow and sadness, and I feel it, and you're in a very, very hurt place right now. And it's really, really hard to see the rainbow when it's dark and cloudy. You just can't. So we got to try to shift our way out of that thinking. We got to think about the things that are going on good in our lives, that are good, that are working out okay, that we've learned from this, that we've changed and become, that this can work out. Like again, we've got to figure out some way to find a ray of hope or sunshine. And if you've got a friend that maybe can help talk you off the ledge, but I can feel the sorrow in your questions. You're very, very sad. And I know, and it's super duper hard to find that happy place when your frown is really upside down, or when your smile is upside down. And so anyway, I wish you the best. Heart goes out to you. But yes, Big T's back in it. Fear is an illusion created by our own minds, and we feed it energy, or better yet, reverse the energy. Yes. I just skipped a bunch of people. Come back to me. All right, I think this is close. Yeah, there she is, Sarah Fuller. Hey, Dan, tardy reply to the previous comment about their belief system. I used Ho'oponopono to dissolve old beliefs from childhood, my subconscious. Once practiced what I need, it appears. Yeah, Ho'oponopono is awesome stuff. I love it. That's a great way if you've got some sort of stuff in the past. I've talked about astral letters many a time. Search it on my channel. You'll find it. It's a video I've done. It's what my teacher taught me, and it's what I typically use. But yeah, good stuff. Lorenzo Joe, have you experienced the world around you from your spiritual self instead of your physical self, like where your physical self takes you on a daily basis? The way you're describing it, maybe not so much. Have I had out-of-body experiences? Definitely, yes. A number of them. Have I visited places that I didn't physically go to? Yes. The way you're asking it, like where your physical self takes you on a daily basis, no, I haven't really. First off, this is going to be weird to a lot of people, but like if I knew the future or could tell the future or knew exactly what would happen tomorrow, I don't think I would tell myself. Like I would want to turn that off, because it would ruin everything. Like, if you knew what was going to happen always, how boring would life be, right? Like, I don't think I would want that. So I don't know. I don't quest after that either. Like, I don't really want to know what's going to happen tomorrow, or today. Like, I know some of the stuff that's where I'm supposed to be, but I don't want to know what's going to happen. I take it as it comes. It's kind of fun that way. So I don't know. That's my take on it. Odin, you're awesome. I was going to ask about psychics and horoscopes. Thanks for the answer. Cool, that worked out. Thank you. Oh, cool. I helped them and all. How are your manifestations going with SP? I'm dating someone very wonderful. So again, it's complex in my story, and I did a video on it, strength to move on or walk on, something like that. I don't talk about it anymore. I'm not going to. If you want to, you can watch that video. But I've been with someone for almost 2 years, and it's going very, very well. Very happy. So yeah, that's how that works. I don't know how to say Yuvasol. I don't know how to say it. 333. What is the promise Neville refers to? And what are your thoughts on how it ties into manifestations? The promise, I think, is, and we're going off memory here. The promise, I think, is more the promise is like when the wish is fulfilled, the promise of the manifestation kind of coming. But I feel like there's more to it. So I don't really think I'm going to give it a fair answer. I'd probably have to do a video on it and actually do a little bit of researching, because off the top of my head, not super duper pulling that story out of my R's right now. So yeah, sorry, I kind of failed on that one. Good question though, without a doubt. And I think I've done a video on it recently, but for some reason it stands out in my mind in that regard. And I kind of feel like the promise is more just the fact that from the wish fulfilled, manifestation does occur, and that really is kind of a promise maybe from God or mama. Anyway, so we'll see. That's how close I am on that. Can we cancel an intention? Yes, I do. It's funny. I don't think I've ever had the opportunity to really bring this up on my channel. What I learned, and this goes way back to, again, my crazy stuff, and I honestly, this is going to sound lame and weird to a lot of people, but I actually spent probably almost a year of my life clearing karma for the planet. Like, literally had this whole thing, and bless, release, and erase was a very major component of that. From me, it was kind of from the Akashic Records was what I was trying to remove karma from for a lot of people, just people on the planet, and it was a fun experience. But that being said, I bless, release, and erase is a very powerful thing to sing. So if you say, like, I hate you, oh, I bless, release, and erase, I hate you, I love you, and I'm sorry I just said that, right? Like, it's a good way to kind of cancel what you just said in a very, very powerful way. And the fact that you're saying I bless, release, and erase, like, you're doing three very strong things on one statement. If you just made one statement and I do three strong against it to pull it back, like, it's pretty good at kind of rubbing out any of that crazy stuff you just did. So it's a good practice. I use it all the time. I still do when I say things I shouldn't. Syed Shah, I hope I'm saying that right. How to cancel soul contracts. Oh, or let's say that there's a Saturn in somebody's astrological chart. How to manifest beyond all these influences. Saturn is not a bad thing. I'm not Mr. Astrology, but Saturn is not a bad thing. And that's, again, I think a lot of people look at things very black and white. And I don't. And I really shy away from it. And I always suggest people not be so black and white. Saturn is a planet of lessons. And lessons come growth and wisdom. So great things come from Saturn. Yes, sometimes it can be a little interesting how those lessons come to us. But it's very, very powerful and helpful experience. It's that teacher, right? How would you be without the teachers you've had in your life? That's what Saturn is. It's your beautiful teacher. So I love Saturn. Saturn has definitely been hard on me at times, and Saturn has taught me some amazing, amazing things that I've benefited from. So I've got a very, very happy relationship in that regard. That being said, canceling soul contracts, just focus on someone else. When you take away the energy from something, it starts to slowly dissolve. It just does, especially when you're focusing it elsewhere. And it's in the same realm, I guess, right? Because sometimes we let go of things with people, but ultimately you still live in the end to a degree when they pop into your head, and there's still love. I've talked about that. But yeah, you try to move in a totally different direction, and stuff does kind of start to fall by the wayside. It just happens. Okay, so there you go. I'm doing good, Yami. Thank you for asking. Fears energy. I'm not sure, reliable, maybe is what you're saying, that energy to caution. Okay, I'm not sure what word you're trying to say. Tisha, how to control getting angry on your SP when he sometimes behave cold, and I know ignoring it will help, but I can't help it, and I feel like getting so angry at him that I feel like blocking him. All right, so There's a lot of anger issues here, a lot of emotion things. People are getting triggered emotionally and don't know how to deal with emotions, it seems. And it's something that seems to be popping up in society more and more as it stands. It's kind of interesting how that actually does play out. You can't control anything. So there's a word that I'd like a lot of us to be careful. Whenever we use that word, we should stop and notice that we're saying that. You cannot control anything. You can guide, you can steer. It's like a boat and a rudder. I can't just push the boat sideways, right? I can steer it, I can turn it, but it's going to do it in its own path. It's like a plane, right? I can't just go, I want to go backwards. No, they got to turn, right? Everything's got its momentum and movement. So you can't control it, but you can guide things. Now, he can behave cold, and then you get angry. I might be cold to you too. If you're always getting mad at me, why would I want to be close to you? And that's one thing that a lot of us kind of forget is, well, I'm justified in my anger. Maybe, but it's a very unattractive quality. It's not attractive. Nobody really likes angry people. Now, when we're angry and we want to talk about something that makes us angry, yeah, we want to have some people talk about it with us, but you don't just like get angry all the time and then look for someone else that's always angry and be like, we should make babies. We're always angry together. We could just like yell together. Like generally, angry people aren't a lot of fun to be around for at least long periods of time. Just a weird energy thing. So looking at why you're getting angry and why you're trying so hard to control things and why you're trying to get someone to behave a very specific way, that's really where the question would lie. And I think a lot of times that's what we frequently call self-love. It's an awesome blanket to just throw on a whole slew of different behaviors, but that really does fall into that self-love place. You really need to look at what is it that who am I, what am I bringing to the table, what do I deserve in a relationship, what am I really looking for, what is love, like, what is love, baby, don't, right, I don't know why that pops into my head, but of course, and then I want to start banging my head in that stupid, horrible song, but yeah, it is kind of really spending some time on what is a good behavior and all that. Your SP, you guys have a weird energy dynamic going on. He's maybe trying to manipulate you. Like, I don't know all the circumstances around it, but he goes cold, you get angry. It sounds like you guys are messing with each other. And so can't control it. Stop trying to do that. Maybe look at what it is that's really going on with this SP and whether or not that's your ideal situation. That would be some of my stuff to suggest. Amy, nice to see you. Dan, what Neville book would you suggest to start with? You speak of the power of awareness often, but I'm not sure if that's a good starting point. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point. Said it's become my favorite book, but I very much recommend. I can't reach it. The Reader. I recommend this book. There's a bunch of books in here. At Your Command, Awaken, Imagination and Search, Feeling the Secret, Freedom for All, Out of the World, Prayer, The Art of Believing, Seed Time and Harvest, The Law and the Promise, The Power of Awareness, Your Faith is Your Fortune. Highly recommend this book. This is a great starting point. The only thing I don't like about it is, and I've damaged it a little, is the bind. Like, if you're going to do videos with this book and you want it to stay open on the page you're on, yeah, it's a little difficult. But needless to say, I've mangled this book a little bit. But yeah, he's getting some good airtime. And there is a link in my videos. Again, it just takes you to Amazon. You can see it at least, and like that's the book I'm talking about. You don't have to order it from there. I do get like a penny or two if you do order it. And then if you buy anything from Amazon after clicking one of my links, oddly, that does benefit me. So if you guys want to help, that's a great way to do it. So Amy, that would be my answer for you. Pamela V, white car with horsepower. Love it. You got a specific car, Pamela? I want to hear what kind of car. You can do better than just a white car. We talking one of them, those Dodge Challengers. What are you talking about? Talk to me, Goose. Talk to me. Matilda. Walking Matilda. There's a good Matilda song too from... Anyway, I am having a hard time letting go. I constantly think of him, and I feel sad or afraid when I try to let go. We were together for 6.5 years, and I want him back. Well, yeah, again, so this is one of those things where I don't know what all's going on in the whole big scheme of things. If you want it just the whole, hey, I'm a manifestation person telling you, yeah, you can have whatever you want. Keep manifesting, keep thinking it, holding in the end, whatever it is. If there's stuff that you guys got to forgive, Ho'oponopono, ask for letters, try to work through that. Maybe some affirmations to get you through the hard times. Maybe we do some self-love, try to see what we learned from the relationship, what happened to cause the breakup. Can we repair that? Can I learn from it? Because whatever it was that I started doing that caused the breakup, is that going to immediately begin back up if I get back in the relationship with them, or have I learned? Because one of the things when we haven't learned is we immediately begin patterns again the second we get back with somebody. Like, it's just waiting for us to get back again so we can start doing exactly what we were doing prior. So we got to break those patterns by learning. And learning and practice is what's called wisdom, right? When you're actually using the knowledge and you've done it and you've experienced it in the real world, now you have actual wisdom. Now you've practiced it. So I would kind of look at it from a large, broader, right? I really have a harder time with just think good thoughts and everything gets better. No, I do think there's more to it than that. I really, really do. Like, we need to evolve, especially when it comes to relationships. You're dealing with another person a lot, right? We lived with each other. We spent constant time together. We're hours together. They've got to be more than just an acquaintance, right? They've got to be someone that I really, really love, really align with, really enjoy, growing in the same direction. All these things kind of really need to be working out when you're in a relationship. Otherwise, you can use all the manifestation snuff you want. If they're not in a place to really evolve to where you're going, or if they're not in a place to accept the reality that you're choosing, then it is difficult to keep those two paths from drifting apart. So hopefully that helps. Yami. If we want to manifest a loving relationship with SP but not marriage, then what will our life in the end visualize? Well, just going out, traveling. I don't know. What do you guys want? If you're just looking for fun, then I guess just imagine that a lot. But if you're looking to be with someone and just not get married but still go and do cool stuff together, then imagine doing cool stuff together. Not quite sure what your vision of a relationship is in this case. Could be very physical. And if that's the case, man, hey, go and knock one out and have at it. Good on you. But yeah, I'm not going to judge. So again, it just depends what you're trying to manifest. There you go. Okay, let's see if I can find where I just was. I love how when it refreshes. Big T did something cool. Mercium3, Louisiana. How do you get into a parallel reality? Wow. Or is this the only way to get into the parallel reality, by using your intentions and setting your intentions? Getting into a parallel reality. So I'm going to say this. Your reality is always your reality. Now, there are parallel realities, but the reality that you're experiencing is the reality you're going to continue to experience. What it sounds like you're talking about, and I've kind of heard Aaron Doty mention stuff like this, and he's a huge YouTuber that talks about a lot of this stuff. The guy's got like 900,000 subs. It's an insane channel. He talks about reality transurfing and shifting our realities. You're still going to be conscious of that reality. You're just shifting into a place where whatever it is that you're trying to change is already happened. Again, yeah, the intention, imagining from that place. The revision of the past can help. If you feel like you can't let go of that thought, then keep revising it away to where you chose differently the time you did that thing you want to undo. Whatever, however that plays out. Sometimes I've seen that people have made mistakes and they try really hard to get out from underneath the mistakes we've made. But I'm going to say again, and this is just throwing this out there, I've made plenty of mistakes in life, and I'll say one of the greatest things that I've ever done in my life to make me a better person is to make mistakes. Mistakes are what have made me a better person. I've made some doozies. I've hurt some people along the way. I've been hurt a bunch of times. Again, it's all kind of a circle and a neat thing and a neat dance. But I would say that some of the biggest things I've learned has been through making mistakes. So trying to shift onto a reality where you haven't made a mistake almost guarantees that you're going to probably make that mistake again because you didn't learn anything, right? If you'd never made the mistake, you never learned the lesson. You can't learn a lesson without making a mistake. Now, you can watch other people make mistakes and learn a lot from doing that and save yourself a lot of pain, right? By learning from other people. Again, I've talked about in the fear part. If you've got someone that's an example of what it is that you're trying to do, well, yeah, if they've made some mistakes along the way and you can learn from that, good on you. You're gonna stand on the shoulders of giants and see further than most. So a lot to consider in there. Lightbridge, I just like your name. I don't know what you're gonna say. What's the difference between spirituality and the material world? Wow, that's huge to me. The physical world is a construct that we get into. Spirituality to me is more an issue of the metaphysical, the soul part, the aspect of our lives, it's energy, the way energies fluctuate between others, the way we can kind of know of the all-knowing, the consciousness, the greater consciousness that exists out there. To me, that is kind of what spirituality is. It's way more than the physical world. The physical world is just a construct. It's like the Matrix, the movie, right? It's just, numbers and letters and stuff scrolling down. It's not real, right? The real part, I feel like, is more the spiritual world. And I think it's why we're here. And then I think what we physically see is kind of like what the projector from us is onto the screen of our lives, like a movie. And then that's what we see and experience. I feel like it's a filter, right? Everything's going on around us at all times. Where we're at in our filtering and our thinking and our being and our spiritual component is what we tend to see in the physical world. Wow, that's a crazy answer, but that's the best I got for you. Hope that helps. Sounds good. Thank you, Fall. Sam Chapman. It will all work out, Dan, and you will get your heart's desire. Oh, that's awesome. Saturn is the time and birth and planet of Venus. Venus. Okay, anyway, sorry. I'm going to totally mess that up. Saturn is discipline, which is good. Yeah, discipline. I like that. Very good. There you go. I told you guys I'm not an astrologist, so good. Brittany, you're still here. I love that. Dang, you're in for the long haul, girl. Do you feel drained sometimes by helping people? I love your videos and always appreciate the help, but wonder if you have ways of recharging yourself. Yes, music for sure. Getting out and dealing with people. I'm very also careful about how much of myself I offer out, how much of myself I expose. Like I've got hours of operation, if you will. And I do have, and I don't mean this to sound wrong in any way. I hope it's received the way it's really intended. But I've kind of got a rule or a hierarchy with how I spend my time when it comes to helping other people. Certainly within my personal life, I've got people I help. Don't get me wrong. So I'm excluding that, but kind of more from the YouTube side and coaching and all that stuff. My first thought is the videos, because videos help millions, right? Millions of people can be affected by a video. When it comes to comments or even live, I guess to a degree, like thousands, right? Thousands of people are being helped by these comments because not everybody reads comments. A lot of people watch videos and never ever look at the comments. In fact, most people don't look at the comments. But a lot of people look at comments, and so comments, interacting with people that way, thousands of people are going to be affected by these comments. It's a great use of time. One-on-one sessions is where a lot of the times I kind of put up a lot of my shields, and I've got very limited hours of operation. It's just, I work full-time. I got a job I love. I got a girlfriend I spend a lot of time with. And I've got a channel I'm trying to maintain. I spend a lot of time doing stuff that, and I try to squeeze in help for one-on-one on unique occasions. So that's kind of how I do it. And then on top of that, I've got ways to keep my energy up. I don't let people take energy from me. I'm very, very aware of it. And I've talked about this in other videos. I don't want to belabor the point, but there's 4 ways we tend to give our energy away, and it's to people that are interrogators, intimidators, aloof, and then poor me. So there's 4 different ways that people tend to be energy drainers from you, or energy vampires, some people call it. So I try to be careful about how many of them I allow into my life. Again, it's just one of those things you learn through time, who to let. I so almost chose a bunch of inappropriate. Who to share the energy with is so much better. There's like 3 different things I said that were not PG-13. That was awesome. I've got a dirty mind. I just want you all to know that. Okay. Brittany, cool. Great question, by the way. Big T, I've found with relationships, it is dangerous to use universal manifestations to manipulate another SP. It can backfire. Focus on interchange of yourself. Yes, and there's one other thing that you bring up, Big T, that I think is what you mean, but maybe a little more indirectly. But manipulation of other people, if you're ever coming at it from that guarantee you will backfire. You influence others. The second you feel you control them, that is going to almost guarantee be reflected back on you. No one wants to be controlled by anyone. So that is something that most people, just from a very basic soul level, are not going to be okay with. So if you're placing those kinds of requests on people, these reflections are coming back to you, and they're oftentimes going to manifest in very bad ways. It kind of does remind me of that one lady that was very, very sad, and she wants someone else to be, she's angry at them because they're cold, right? It's like this weird energy matrix that starts to manifest more of the same. I don't know where I was going exactly with that, but Big T, thank you, though. Yeah, the manipulation thing, very, very bad. Not good stuff. And yes, Jillian's on board. We like that. Hey, Kara is your name. I love that. How do you manage such funny punchlines in your video? You could do... Well, again, in the links below, you'll see my first stand-up. I've done it stand-up once. I've been into improv. I've loved, like, my whole family. We just, like, do weird, like, little comedy things with each other. I was brought up that way. I was lucky. We all play on words. We like to talk. We're all talkers. I don't know. So I was just blessed. And I was in an environment that allowed it and produced it. So I appreciate the fact that you think some of the stupid stuff I say is funny. I really, really appreciate it. I love it. I just try to free myself and do it, man. And then sometimes I stand back and go, hey, that actually came out better than I thought. And sometimes I'm like, ooh, that didn't work out so good. So yeah, you take a lot of cricket jokes, cricket meaning not the sport, but like cricket's like you say something and the whole room gets quiet and you're like, okay, mental note, don't do that again. Sometimes everyone laughs. So 1, 2. That's right. About controlling and guiding, most people don't know how to balance that. You are right. Good. Big T, you're all over it, man. I love it. Autumn Beauty's back, and the promise, as I understand, is that everything has its appointed time. Oh, okay, cool. And if we have faith, it will appear. Okay, yeah, that kind of ties into what I was saying, right? I mean, maybe a little poetic license, but for the most part, I think that was pretty much where I read. Oh, you read it cover to cover, the whole complete reader? Yeah, it is a great book. It's got, like, some of his books in there are a little, it's just long chapters. Like, when I get to those and I'm trying to do Goddard on those, I don't know, they're going to be tricky. So cool. Let's see here. I jumped again. The Full Monty. Nice. I don't think we've talked yet today. Ever read the Seth material? Yeah, Seth Speaks for sure. Studied some Seth stuff, the missing books from the Bible. A lot of great stuff around Seth. Love Seth. Seth was a huge part. I was probably very, very early 20s when I was reading that Seth material. Big part of my spiritual evolution. Huge Seth fan. Again, that would be another great one. What's another? We Are the Arcturians, this crazy book that really influenced me. Essene Gospel of Peace really influenced me on the very spiritual stuff. Sorry, guys. These are just crazy questions. You can rewatch the video. Don't worry. So the Essene Gospel of Peace, believe it or not, Conversations with God was a huge part of that. I would say Celestine Prophecies was pretty big on all that. I feel like there was, Mutant Message Down Under was a really big, again, there was just a lot of very cool books. And then Drunvalo Melchizedek was just huge. Love that dude. Love him. And Melchizedek's actually a very significant spiritual component in my life as well. Odin's back again. I want to know how to say that. Odin Lafi. I hope I'm saying Lafi. It sounds like I should be saying it very French or something, but anyway. What are your thoughts on magic? Does ritual, location, etc. have an impact on manifesting? I've studied a lot about magic. Not a lot, not more than many. I mean, I don't run around. I'm not a magician. I don't call myself one. Obviously, I'm fond of them, though, right? Magic's very, 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 very much a part of my life. There's white magic and dark magic, and there's significant difference between them. I am careful not talking about them on YouTube because some people are responsible enough to use it properly. Some people are curious and could get themselves in a lot of trouble. And some people definitely would use it incorrectly and get themselves definitely in trouble. And I don't mean like opening portals, but there's a lot of crazy stuff you can do with rituals. Rituals, you got to be careful. And location, yeah, there's something to be said about locations. There's some very, very precious locations on this planet. Energy meridians for sure, right? Vortexes and whatnot. So yeah, all that stuff's really big. I don't get too heavily into it and won't on this channel just because of the danger that it could cause. Just out of responsibility, I don't. I would, on a one-by-one, I would maybe help people if they had specific questions around magic. And then again, it would depend. If they're going down a dark magic path, I'm not really going to teach people that. I understand it. I might suggest some things and move on, but I wouldn't ever try to train somebody like that. Wouldn't be in my moral makeup. Laura Ann, I truly believe that my manifestation will happen. It feels as if it is already done. Well, that's perfect. That's how you do it. However, wait, hang on. I keep having dreams of the opposite happening, and it's freaking me out. What could this mean? Well, one, I see opposites as contrast. Dreams I don't necessarily see as always prophetic. So maybe it's just you wrestling with a fear, and sometimes just facing that fear and accepting it is a way of removing a fear. And so maybe that's needed. So maybe that's kind of why you're experiencing it. It could be a lot of things, but it's a dream, okay? I actually had a girlfriend one time that had a dream that me and my buddy were passing around a butterball turkey, and I was choosing to be with the butterball turkey. I'm not going to specify how, but you should wink, wink, instead of her. She woke up furious at me. Like it was real. And I'm like, I've never, ever chosen a butterball turkey over you, nor would I. I mean, they're delicious on Thanksgiving, don't get me wrong, but not interested in making my Thanksgiving happen that way. That's not something to be thankful for. So again, dreams are sometimes weird, and they aren't necessarily always the future. Now, something to consider. But again, I see it as contrast. If you know what's happening and feeling it, then I guess the question is, what's more real, your dream or the imagined reality and the wish fulfilled and all that good stuff? So maybe you're kind of still wrestling with that a teeny bit. Very good stuff. Let's see. Cool. I feel like I jumped over Mamata Nanda. Dear Dan, I'm imagining life, my SP dreams. Why am I seeing things belonging to third party? That's interesting. Maybe there's a fear of yours. I don't know. Like you say, like people do this frequently, and I feel like with this one sentence, your life can't possibly be this simple. But you're saying I'm imagining life with my SP in my dreams. Why am I seeing other things? Well, because you're probably imagining other stuff too. I have a hard time believing that 100% of the time that's your thought. So my guess is maybe there's a fear that he's with someone else. Maybe he is with someone else. Maybe you're getting on Instagram and you're seeing pictures and you're like, oh, he's cheating on me. Right? I don't know how it's playing out, but my guess is there's more to it. Whatever the stuff is, it's helping feed this third-party thinking. Try to stop doing that and maybe try to do other behaviors that are more focused on this no third party being there. And I don't mean trying to remove them, but you can try to help manifest the third party, maybe finding someone else that they're happy with, and then your person's happy to be with you. You can certainly manifest that scenario, and that is actually a good way to go because it helps everybody. So I usually kind of recommend that. But yeah, you can go a number of ways, but putting emphasis or energy on third-party stuff is not going to help that at all. So there you go. Yeah, someone's retracting messages. That's awesome. Gloria Exontis. That sounds pretty rad. I've been manifesting a specific job for many months, I'm assuming now. Some days I lose faith in the process. I'm starting to question if I am deserving. Advice. Why, first off, would there be any question about whether you deserve a job, right? Even a specific career. Now, I don't know exactly what you're going for. I have no idea, in fact, at all what you're going for. But why? I mean, just no matter what it is, why would you not be deserving of a job? So then, self-love. Oh, look up as many self-love videos as you can. Really submerge yourself into loving yourself and understanding what you deserve. Because if you don't ever realize what you deserve, if you don't ever realize how amazing you are, who else is going to know that, right? You can't expect someone to see something in you that you can't even see in you. You need to see it in you before others will see it in you. You have to believe in you. And if you don't deserve it in your own mind, then, right? So we've got to get yourself to the place where you realize how amazing you are, that what you're bringing to the table is unique and specific and wonderful. That is where you've got to get yourself to somehow. So look up a lot of self-love stuff. That would be the simple answer without belaboring the point. There you go. Kicking the heck out of that dead horse. Just wanted to say thank you. Well, thank you, Agustin Jr. Villa Gomez. It's nice to see you, my friend. Buenos dias. Kim W., you come in a lot. You're one of the commenters that stick out in my mind. Hi, Dan. It's good to catch you live. It is nice. Nice that you're here. I am feeling very discouraged. Well, that's not good. I feel like the universe, God, is just ignoring me. It seems like maybe manifesting is not for me. And then she follows up, I feel like I can't jump through all the hoops people talk about. Maybe I don't love myself enough. I don't have high enough vibrations or positive enough thoughts. So there's a lot of things that kind of jump out here, Kim. You're kind of in a hard place right now. I hear that for sure. If you have any sort of kind of spiritual thing, because you put God in parentheses, you chose God and you capitalized the G. So you got some kind of God thoughts in there, right? I mean, I'm not making this up. That's how you present this. And you think he's ignoring you? Really? God? I mean, I don't know. I've been in the Christian faith I've kind of become more spiritual when I was, basically like most Catholic people. As soon as I got confirmed, I stopped going to church. It's kind of how that worked. Like I graduated from Catholicism and then became spiritual. But that being said, I don't believe God ever ignores us, ever. Now, I do remember from a lot of my spiritual teachings that sometimes the answer is no. God always hears us. Sometimes the answer is no. And it also makes me think of another wonderful poem, and it was the poem Footprints. I think a lot of you are probably familiar with the poem Footprints, and I'm not going to quote it properly, but there was a point in it where, God, I've noticed throughout my life that in life there's always two sets of footprints as you were walking with me. God, there's times in my life where everything was horrible, everything was hard. Everything was so difficult. And I always noticed every time when life got challenging that there was only one set of footprints. And God, I'm always wondering why in the hardest times that I've ever experienced. Why did you leave me? Why did you make me walk that alone? And God's response was, I never left you alone, son. The times when you only saw one set of footprints were the times that I was carrying you. Understand that you're not alone. Understand that there's more to this. Understand that maybe you're beating yourself up a little bit. Maybe you're being a little hard on yourself. Maybe you're being super critical of all the things you're doing. But just because you see one set of footprints right now, Kim, you're not alone. You're being carried. Relax. Let it happen. Don't try to force it. If there's something you're rushing, you're going to have a hard time with this. So maybe give it the chance it deserves, and hopefully that helps you. I know you've been a little frustrated lately, and I feel bad. Comandante. Thank you, Dan, for the awesome videos last week. Sending warm wishes. Well, thank you. Warm wishes, cold wishes. Sometimes when it's hot, a cold wish is nice. I'm just saying. A cold one. Just throw one around. Just saying. No, I'm just saying. Full Monte Seth also talks about creating your reality big time. I forget a lot of the people that taught me a lot of the manifesting stuff, but it was way before I ever read The Secret or Esther Hicks, or even before I ever even heard of Neville Goddard. It was actually Anya that got me into Neville Goddard. I just happen to love the fact that here's another guy that was talking about spiritual principles that have been around for a long time, but he packaged them in a very awesome way. Neville Goddard did a beautiful job packaging spiritual stuff in an awesome way. Esther Hicks does it, and whoever it was that wrote The Secret, I forget their name, they did a wonderful job as well. I feel like Esther Hicks and all these people get credit for it, but I think it was someone else. Amy saying, thank you, you're welcome. I just ordered the complete reader. Nice. Oh, from my link. Dude, you're the best. Thank you. Because that actually helps me, guys. When you click those links for the books, even if you just buy a vacuum cleaner afterwards, it actually benefits me. Now, I don't know how it works if you're in other countries. If you're in the U.S., it seems to work beautifully. I'm curious if any of you have ever tried it from like England, because that might be a challenge. So there you go. And thank you, Odin. That's awesome. Autumn's answering a lot of people. She's like my little helper in this. I love it. Gloria's back. Do you believe when, in regards to an SP, we should set the intention that if they are best for highest good, then, I'm assuming you say something like, then we should have it. I've done that a lot, especially when trying to manifest. For me, there's different practices on this, right? So there's two ways I can approach this. You can have everything you want. Don't worry about that. Live in the reality where this thing that you want is, everything's good. Everyone's happy. It's the best for all involved. Everyone's got smiles and walks around chewing bubblegum all day, right? Like, that's great. Let's do that. I've kind of got more of a view where I think we interact a little differently. I don't necessarily hold the same us pushed out. Everyone's you, all this stuff. Like, I don't know. I don't want to go too terribly into that because it's a touchy subject. But that being said, I like to make sure that what I'm manifesting, especially when it comes to others, is good for all involved. I've found that has rewarded me greatly. I've found that has guided me to better places that have been a little more broader in scope, that have helped a larger number of people and really opened up what I'm trying to do. I think when you come at it from that standpoint, you're putting a very positive energy spin on your manifestation. And I think it also gets us to think about what really matters when it comes to how I'm interacting with other people. Like, am I here to be good to other people, or am I literally here to take from everybody and everybody's just, a wallet for me to put my hands in, or what? Being hyperbolic, but still, like, how are we here to interact? And I think a lot of times through some of those answers, it can help, set the direction we go. That's that. Hey, Dan, I was dumped by my SP. Lives in another country. I set a goal to buy an apartment in that country, and I keep receiving signs of the apartment, but my SP is still cold. I see myself there, yet confused. Well, first off, if moving there that's going to make a bigger thing happen, right? Unless you are in conversations with your XP about how you're moving there, I would literally try to make that happen. If that's really your goal, if you really want to live in that country, then move to that country. If you are just going to that country for them, I don't know. Maybe they've made some choices. Maybe they're not as receptive to that. Maybe they are. I'm not trying to say anything because there's a lot of ways this can play out. But I'm not sure what country you're in, but there's probably many, many millions of people in your country that are maybe close to you that might be a good relationship too. So again, it's one of those things. If you're going to be with them no matter what, and that's it, and they're not leaving that country, and you know that for sure, that they're not open to that idea, that there's no way they're coming back to your country, then I would suggest, move there. And take up residence there. And that becomes your new life, and now you're heading out there, and once those balls are starting to move, then you hit up the SP and you say, hey, just FYI, I will be in London or wherever you're going tomorrow. I'll be moving in. I'm heading out today. Stuff's already on the boat heading out, or it should be at the dock by now, whatever, right? And then you have that discussion and make that manifestation happen, like whatever you choose. I feel like when someone goes to another country, it's just a good idea to ask some deeper questions about life in general. But again, if we're very fixed, very focused on where we're trying to go, then do it. Make it happen. Plan that move. You keep seeing the signs for it. Maybe that needs to happen before the other thing happens. So commit to that, and then you're committing to him in a sort of other way. But you're wanting him to confirm that's the right thing to do. And see, that's kind of a backwards order, right? You're living in the end for sure. You've got confirmation on one of the biggest parts of that move. Now, let's commit on it, I guess, right? And make it happen. And then the rest of it should start to fall in place. But maybe until you're out there, maybe he won't even consider it, right? Well, you're in another country. There's no way we can date. Long-distance relationships in general don't work well. They don't, in general. They can, but for long periods of time, they are a lot of challenge, no matter how good your intentions are. And I think a lot of people could probably attest to that. I'm not trying to be negative. That's just reality of being away from someone you love. Like, I can't hug you on a day-to-day basis. It's like when people pass away. I know they're still there. I can talk to them all the time, but I can't hug my mom anymore, right? So it's kind of different. It changes the relationship. So anyway. Autumn Beauty, I love it, man. I love it. You're in on everybody. I love it. Manicurls. My curls. May curls. I don't know. Hey, Dan, was on your last live week. My SB came over again for dinner. Oh, cool. And movie time. We got along like we used to. We were together, just intending for a new relationship with him again. So basically, to go from us being friends to back to relationship. Yeah. So you're in my girls. You're in a very. And I probably said it last week. I feel like I did. You're in that place where you've got to be careful not to ramp it too quickly, right? Let it build itself. Let the flower blossom. Do not force anything in. Don't force things ever. Never is there a time that I can think of in life where forcing is a good idea, unless you're trying to make pasta, right? Because then you're forcing it through a press, right? That's a good thing. You want that to happen. You're making pasta. Generally, don't force. Forcing's bad. Not a good thing. So let it happen. Let it unfold. Be the most amazing, wonderful person that you know you are, that he loves. And you guys are good. You're hanging out, man. You're in. You're together, right? Like, that's, just keep being cool, and it's all good from there. Right, there you go. Full Monte's back. Do you have any personal manifestation stories? Like, how does it work for you? Are you getting better? I've been pretty successful lately. I manifest. I just want. It's a big difference, and people ask me this question a lot, so it's cool. And I've shared the radio story. Manifested the wonderful person I'm with. I've manifested a lot of things. I've manifested a number of jobs, manifested money, I've manifested increasing career, I've manifested a reasonably successful YouTube channel that's growing and growing, right? Like, manifested a lot of stuff. But here's the ultimate reality of it. Everything that happens in my life, I manifested. All of it. Everything. Law of attraction's never turned off. Never, ever, never off. Never. I don't ever flip off the switch on law of attraction, because there's no way to flip off the switch. It's broken. There's a dimmer, kind of like when we jack ourselves and start being negative and we can't, get out of our little depressive spirals. Yeah, the dimmer gets turned down, because otherwise we just cause all sorts of problems in our life. But that being said, once you get yourself back in the right direction, turn the dimmer back to bright, everything goes well. So always manifesting. But yes, I've manifested a lot of things. Try to manifest a YouTube channel with 10,000 subs so far, right? Like, it's not easy. There's some effort that goes into it. I had a full-time job at an overnight radio station in Knoxville, Tennessee for 3 years. It was the #1 classic rock station. 25% of the audience listened to our station. I was a star in Knoxville for a number of years. So yeah, I've done some pretty cool stuff in my life. I don't like to brag about it. I frankly don't like to. But yeah, I manifest also everything. Everything in my life I've manifested. So it's fantastic. Kim, thank you. You're very, very welcome. Going through a lot right now. Answer is no. I feel like it's cruel for God not to take the desire from me as well so I can heal. Sometimes we, again, don't understand the bigger picture, Kim. Sometimes they say we can't see the forest through the trees, right? And it's because you're in the middle of the forest and you see trees all around you. And sometimes it's really hard to see the bigger picture. Put your faith in God. Let it unfold. Give it a little patience. Stop being so strict about what God's supposed to do. And I'm really trying to speak this in your language. Stop being so strict about what God should do, but more receptive to what God's trying to show you. And I think you'll probably find a whole happier, more wonderful place in your life. I remember this person. Where is it? Something. Because every time I scroll down, it just drops me. Start Turtle. That's right. I keep seeing interesting quote by Alan Watts. Love Alan Watts. Do you have an opinion on his ideas? I love Alan Watts. Alan Watts is awesome. He is a philosopher, really. I love him. He's very, very spiritually minded. Had a buddy I used to hang out with a lot. I actually did a video eons ago called Socks Left Out or Socks on the Floor or something like that. It was a buddy of mine that we used to talk a lot of Watts. He's good stuff. I like him without a doubt. I find when we get into places where we're like questioning whether something is or isn't, or it only is because I've got a decision about it. Like, yeah, I mean, it's true, but there's certain places, I don't know. There's parts of it where it's like, it's so deep and it's so hard to kind of apply, I think, to real life. But anyway, yeah, it's good stuff. I love Alan Watts. There's all sorts of good stuff. Even the stuff I don't agree. I mean, I agree with most everything he says. It's awesome. So there you go. Okay. Big T, it's all process. Cool. People are just rolling with each other. I love you guys. Seriously, I just want to say that one more time. I love you guys. You guys are so good about how you interact with each other. In the comments, the way you guys support each other is just so cool. Oof. Cool name. Before learning of LOA manifesting, I was striving and was happy with a modest life. But now that I know all things are possible, I feel frustrated that I'm expecting a lot from my life, like higher stakes. I've found, that I've gotten in those places when I wanted to see myself move faster and further than I think is natural. I really do. One example I'm going to give. I don't know if it's a good example for everybody, but hopefully you can kind of come along with it. One of the things for like a bigger YouTube channel, for example, when you have a YouTube channel with like 100 people or 100 subscribers, whatever, and you do a video and 40 people see it and 3 people leave comments, generally speaking, these are people that really, really like you, definitely into you, friends of yours, whatever, and generally leave better comments. And if right off the bat you instantly, especially if you're someone like me that's a little sensitive, right? And if right off the bat you instantly were doing millions of watchers, and then you find out that a percentage of these people aren't very nice and say really hurtful things. If you are not at a place where you can handle that, where you can read a comment like that and be like, okay, right, or whatever, like maybe there's some truth to it or whatever, and just let it go and not let it fester in your mind all day. I could read 100 good comments, but that one bad comment could ruin me, right? Or it might cause me to do different behaviors on my channel when what I've been doing has been helpful. So sometimes by expecting things to go faster than we're ready for, we can actually push ourselves to places where we would make mistakes, where we might kind of squander it away, where we might not invest wisely, where we might, as a lottery winner is another good example. A lot of people want to be rich, but they don't understand wealthy consciousness. They just want the money. And problem is money isn't really what you want. You want the things that money buy. And so you really should be imagining those. But a lot of people say, well, I've got to win the lotto. Well, now you've got a very fixed, small little window. And then a lot of times, like I had someone asking me questions, they wanted to accomplish something by September, and it required winning the lottery. And now it's October, and they're like, I don't understand why it's not working. So there is some components to this that I think sometimes when we lock ourselves into how it has to happen or how quickly it has to happen, we create a lot of challenges in our lives and a lot of challenges in how we're trying to manifest. So I think maybe that's coming into play with you. Again, it's hard just through a comment, and I get it. You guys aren't able to share with me as much, nor could I probably read the whole thing. William Siegel. I like it. I have been unemployed for a long time, and every time I get to the last rounds, right here, every time, right there. So we got to hear ourselves when we say this stuff, William, right? That's right off the bat. This is called a belief. Every time, you've used the word every time I get to the last round, I do not get the job for one reason or another. I'm running out of time. How can I get rid of the fear that holds me back? You've got a blocker in yourself. For whatever reason, you believe that other people are either more qualified, whatever. You've got to kind of turn that into the assumption technique kind of works well in this case right now, where like, hey, assume you're the right guy for the job. Assume on the final round they're going to choose you because it needs to have. Assume, right? You've got to turn this whole, every time this happens, I experience this. And then I'll be like, well, you got to change that. But you're like, well, you're not getting it, Dan. I'm just being real because every time it happens that way. And I'm saying things happen because of what we believe. What we believe is not influenced by what happens. It seems like that sometimes, but it's the other way around. The belief creates the experience. And then a lot of the times we go, oh, well, see, that experience proves it. That must be true. And then we keep having experiences like that. So we've got to break those habits. We've got to notice when we say stuff like this. And William, I don't mean to make an example of you. It's not like that. All of us are in this together, and many of us do. I've done this many a time. Like, you just got to hear yourself when it's safe. But this is a perfect example of where we catch ourselves saying something that's very strong belief. And that's why we keep having the circle complete again and again the same way. Give up the belief of this, I always crap. Get rid of that. Start working on affirmations, assumptions where it does work out, where I'm going to get this. I am the right person for the job. And just keep saying these things till you start believing that, right? And that's all Esther Hicks calls it, right? That's all belief is a thought you've held for a very long time, and then it becomes a belief. So keep holding a different thought for a very long time, and you will change that belief. And maybe it takes longer than you've got, but you're going to have to start somewhere. Right? So that's what you really want to start working on. But good, you'll get it. You'll get it for sure, man. Just hang tight, hang in there, and you'll get there. All right, John V. Barty. I'm a very positive and self-lover person, and I'm on. Everyone says that, by the way. I just want you to know. It's awesome. I'm on the way of manifesting my SP back, and he is giving me positive response. Still, sometime I feel very depressed when I see time is flying. Again, you've got expectations on when this should happen rather than enjoying the growth of the experience, rather than enjoying the process of getting to this place, rather than enjoying the growth of the flower and the blossoming of the flower. You want to yank the flower open and see it right now. Patience is a part of life. You don't have to like it, but I don't really see how law of attraction can get us away from patience. I know a lot of people are like, you can instant manifest. All right, but let's talk about all the people that do it. And some of the stories I've heard, I really do think are people that are like, they had a premonition about something and then it occurred. But whatever. I don't want to get too crazy, but try to stay focused on where you're going and let it unfold, let it happen, rather than looking at what's not happening. That's, again, the more we focus on the thing that we don't want, the more of that thing we don't want we're going to get. We've got to work on trying to change our thoughts. And Gabriella Dan, how can I actually feel my self-love? First, best, worthy affirmations, true. How can I feel? Well, you have to believe them. If you don't believe them, then you've really not done the self-love. If you've just gone to self-love and found some self-love affirmations and thought that that was going to get you through self-love, you've not done any self-love research, really. Watch more stuff on self-love. Watch how people need to learn to identify what it is about themselves that's worthy of love. What is it about myself that I love? What is it about myself that I think is awesome that I bring to the world? It's one thing to just talk about, yeah, self-love, I like myself, I'm great, blah, blah, blah. What is it? Why? What makes you happy? What makes you tick? Well, my SP, they make me happy. No, that's not self-love. So affirmations are great when we slip. Affirmations are not how you get yourself to like self-love. That's not, you can't just talk positive about something and have some sort of underlying problem ever get resolved. I call it like putting a Band-Aid on a festering wound and never actually treating the wound. It will continue to fester, even though I keep putting an affirmation Band-Aid on top of it. So we've got to solve the problem or it won't go away. Stevie Wonder, dude, I'm so glad you're here, man. I made it big time. You got Stevie, ladies and gentlemen, Stevie Wonder's in the house. So I'm sure it's not the real one. I hope you guys realize I'm just joking. So I have a problem, i.e. I can't see. Just kidding. I was selling a laptop. A guy phoned me and I wanted to buy it, and I was happy because I wanted to sell it for a long time and told my family about it. I didn't sell it at the end. Every time I close, something happens. Here it is. Every time I'm close, something happens, and I get bumped. So William's answer should work for you, Stevie Wonder, as well. Thank you for joining me. That's so awesome. I love your music. Start Turtle. For me, it's been simple that having hopes and dreams is a happier place than not having hopes and dreams. I found that too, that the only times in my life where I was truly, really, really, really bummed and depressed is when I didn't have hope. Even if I got to make something up, even if I've got to assume something's true to have hope, and even if I have to find some random crossing guard that's attractive that I got to believe I have a chance with just so I can have hope. Like, I've had hope in all sorts of crazy things. Hope makes the world, hope springs eternal. Hope makes the world turn. Hope gives you a reason to wake up in the morning. You got to find hope. One way or another. Like, how do I do that? You think of the things you want, self-love, there's processes out there. I certainly couldn't do it quick enough. Oof, you're very welcome. I guess I need to cultivate, yeah, for sure. Patience is going to help you out, bud. Guy Barbara, that's awesome. I feel it real, live in the end. You got it. Oh, cool. Jacqueline Allen, I lost track of you for a bit. Now I found you again. Hey, glad you found me. Very pleasantly surprised. Oh, hey, there you go. Cool. Thank you, Jacqueline. That is fantabulous. We're getting close to the end, guys. It looks like Naomi Lachal, you are one of the most recent people to provide a question, I'm guessing. I'm moving back with my parents in a few weeks. I've done that before, by the way. I am scared of my mother. She is a very negative person. I am familiar with everyone as you pushed out, but when it comes to the family, I lose my mind. Us pushed out again. I just don't buy it as the blanket statement that everyone uses, but whatever. I don't want to try to defeat that or fight that battle right now. Not interested. But this is probably, and a good way to look at this is temporary. It's going to help you get your feet back. And the fact that your mom's negative should be all the inspiration for you to try to figure out how to get back out on your own. So keep focusing on getting back out on your own. Be grateful that your parents are there to help support me. I came back after a certain period of time of being out. Had to go back once to actually twice, because I was in Tennessee. That was the first place I stopped back off was my parents' house when I got back, just because it was easier. But again, it's that you need a stomping ground, you need a place to kind of rebuild your energy, and then kind of take off again from there. So be grateful for the fact that you can, even if you don't necessarily get along with them. I had a curfew both times I came back. They're like, we just can't sleep well unless you're home. It's like, dude, I'm like 32 years old, right? Like, come on, when do I outgrow this? Apparently never. So it's a reason to move out. I couldn't believe it. I was like a 32-year-old with a basic... I could stay out late if I wanted, but, it was just kind of ridiculous. You're very welcome, William. All these people are coming in with stuff now. Look at that. Yeah, cool. Odin, what do you got? Tell me why I fry electronics. Oh, it's like LOA, karma, or biologically caused. I'm allergic to nickel and can stop at any point of sales and tracks. Very annoying. Any suggestions? Odin, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to, again, reference you back to Melchizedek, Drunvalo. He talks, there's a way in there to help deal with that energy, and it has to do with the Merkaba. Let's go ahead and throw something crazy out there for you that you might know about. You probably do, because you're talking about logos and stuff. But the Merkaba vehicle is a very powerful thing. The way it spins around us, the way it's tuned, all that stuff actually plays a part in electronics. He even brings it up in the book. I've done the Merkaba meditation and would like to actually do it again. It's there's some hand gestures that go with it and certain breathing techniques, and it's very, very cool. I recommend it to everybody, but it's deep and heavy. It's good stuff, though. And I found it to be two of some of the most fascinating books that I've ever read about some of the more esoteric, crazy stuff that has existed on this planet and actually still does. Just isn't really talked about a lot. So frying electronics definitely is a part of that. And I've seen others do that. And I've had some cases where I've done some interesting stuff, but I've tried to, and I had pretty good success doing that through my Merkaba and really messing with that. So hopefully that helps. The Israelites were in captivity for 400 years till the sins of the Amorites be fulfilled. Means there is a process to freedom and a time. All right, Big T's bringing it down. I like that. John V. Dan, you said it's harder to manifest an SP back if he lives in another country still. Is it possible? What is your opinion when an SP lives in another city? Cities are easy, man. Another city's not that far away. But again, distance is, whenever we spend large quantities of time away from each other, it can be a challenge. So if it's more than a couple hour drive to see each other, it does start to pose difficulties over time. People make it. It's definitely can happen. I definitely would recommend talking to some people that have survived long-term, long-distance relationships. Get some insight from them, and maybe that'll help. But that being said, it's not something you want to try to stay in and think that everything's going to stay hunky-dory. Both sides are going to have a hard time with long-term relationships. It's just the way we work. We like to have touch and affection and the ability to hold each other and talk to each other and see each other face to face and smell each other and wake up next to it. Like, there's a whole thing that goes awesome with actually hanging out with someone in real life that doesn't seem to happen so well when they're far away from us. It can definitely happen. Please understand. I'm not saying it can't. What I'm saying is it's a good idea to consider resolving the distance problem. Either you go to them, they come to you, you meet in the middle, not sure. Figure out a way to see each other a little more often, but try to build that into your reality rather than just accept the fact that they're 1,000 miles away and that's okay. It'll become difficult. I grew up 1,000 miles away from my older brother and my mom. It affects you. I talk to them all the time. I love them dearly. Still family, but it made it challenging for a relationship with them. SFMS events. I don't know if you're promoting something. That's cool, or whatever it is. I think revision, assumption, and letting go has been one of the biggest factors so far in the success of advancing the relationship with my SP. Highly recommend the changing long-held beliefs. Revision, assumption, and letting go. Yeah, for sure you're on it, man. He's covering some of the basics, especially if you've got an X situation. Revision's a good one. Keep revising the situation that seems to be holding you back. Keep revising whatever it is. Like, every time I imagine the conversation, we're fighting. Like, all right, well, keep revising that. Keep working on that discussion until you're able to shape it into a human, decent conversation where you're not, yelling at each other. So it's a really good way to kind of try to work on that and really, really make a difference there. Okay. And I'm going to have to call a hard close at 10 a.m. my time, guys. It's just 2 hours is a long time to do this. And honestly, I have to pee. That being said, Steve Ronnie, Merkaba is what I call it. But yeah, Merkaba is how you're to ride or vehicle you ride in. Yes, that's exactly what it is, Steve Ronnie. Very, very cool. And it's two actual pyramidal structures that are opposite directions, and the way they're shaped and where they, it's very cool. It's fascinating stuff. I'm really, really, really into it. Oh, well, Odin, yeah, if you're born during a solar gamma burst, you're probably a superhero and just not really admitting to it yet. She probably shoots fire out of her fingers. Shh, don't. Hey, Odin, I'm not going to tell anyone, and I don't know if that's your real name, so no one knows. It's okay. Let's see. Miss Hill, you're back. What's some good question to ask the universe if someone is for us, and what's some examples of how the universe answers? Universe, good questions. Are him and I compatible in a long distance? Like, are him and I compatible to stay together, to be together forever? Are him and I able to start a relationship before the year is out? Are we able to have a relationship with children and a marriage and all the parents and everyone being happy? And am I able to start this, within a year? These are some of the things. I don't recommend asking the universe to show you signs. I really, really recommend putting the energy towards what it is that you're trying to manifest, and then let signs come. When you manifest signs, you really start to get into some funky places where you're not necessarily manifesting the thing that you're talking about, but now you're manifesting signs. And if you do it too often, you'll get signs that don't match up, or they're slightly different. Good example, show me a orange and white butterfly if he is going to be with me forever and this is going to work out and we'll start dating before the end of the year. And then the next day you see a white and red butterfly. What do? I've seen that happen a bunch. And I don't know what you do. It's close. It's like sort of there. So then I'm like, all right, when it happens to me, I'm like, what's the question I asked? Did I ask it in a weird way? All right, let me try to rephrase it so maybe it's a little more specific. Again, you start to get into places that can get challenging, and you can do it, and you can play around with it. But again, you might ask for a specific sign, and, I want to see a candy cane that's red and white, and then suddenly you manifest a fruit-striped candy cane, and you're like, the hell does that mean? So again, it can be kind of confusing the way certain things can play out. Purple Aluva 77, also Joseph Murray is awesome. Yeah, he's great. In all honesty, when I finish up some of this Goddard stuff, Joseph Murphy's who I'm probably going to start going crazy on next. I haven't read a lot of Joseph Murphy, so I'm looking forward to it. And so yeah, he's probably one of the ones that I'm going to start doing some discussions on as well. Let's see what we got. Kick Tubes. Like it. How do you know someone is your SP? Generally, we've decided that, but if you're looking for how do I know they're my soulmate, would be probably a question a lot of people ask. Generally speaking, when you look in their eyes, you'll just have this like recognition. There'll just be something about the moment when you first met. You'll be like, oh my God, I felt like I always knew him. I felt like it was like I was looking in a mirror. There's always this weird, I've known you before I met you kind of feel to it, or I knew I loved you when I first met you. Like there's just a very profound kind of experience that we tend to have with each other, either right off the bat or very early on. And it tends to be pretty overwhelming. So a lot of the times that's where people get to this whole SP thing. But outside of that, you just basically say, man, you're my SP. And then, hey, guess what? They're your SP. It's kind of also how it works. Thank you. Got about 4.5 more minutes, guys. Success story. Love it. Peter Pretorius. Cool name there, buddy. Kept having obstacles crop up, blocking me from attaining a certain job. Once I applied elsewhere, those obstacles fell away. That's what I'm talking about. We get so focused on how it has to happen. I gotta win the lottery. I don't know why I'm not rich yet. Well, maybe there's another way. My example is way more extreme than Steve's, but dude, good on you, Steve. Or Peter. Steve. Why the hell am I calling you Steve? But good job on you, person whose name I just completely changed. That's not even close. Awesome. Very proud of that. Purple Autumn Beauty, you're still talking fun. Okay, so Purple of 77. Fun, you were a manifestation for me. Oh, well, thank you. That's, I guess, for like videos or something, but that's awesomeness. You're welcome, Miss Hill. I don't ask for signs, they normally come. Well, that's how it should happen, so that's good. But the question you were asking sort of implied that you're wanting to ask for signs. So I think you maybe changing that a little bit. I'm just saying. Beauty is so awesome. Dude, you guys are nailing it. Let's see here. I've got to... Oh, I forgot what disc it was. Oh, it's disc 1. That's right. All right, you guys, we're going to cut out here. I appreciate it. I want to, if you're still on here, I don't think she is. She bailed a long time ago, but I forgot her name already. The super chat was awesome. I appreciated that. It was super wonderful. I want to thank you guys for everything. Let's see if I can get some music going here. There we go. That started over, though. All right, you guys, again, just want to thank everybody. Fantastic. Great 2 hours. Hopefully I got all your questions. You guys are the best. I have a belief that people often call me Steve by mistake. Well, isn't that funny? Really? Not kidding. So there you go, buddy. That's probably why I got stuck in my head. See, that's how assumptions work, right? That's how beliefs work. And I was happy to fulfill that belief for him. I'm not him pushed out, but I just did something. That's a great... Peter, thank you. That's the perfect way for anyone that actually makes it this far in the show. That is perfect. Because I'm not you pushed out. I'm not you. You're not me, right? But you have that belief, and I was able to follow through on that without knowing that, right? That's an example of how we influence other people, and people choose, agree to disagree. They'll be like, yeah, I'll do that for you. I'll help you out, buddy. I got this. So, very, very good example. That's pretty freaking cool. What I miss? Mr. Ocean, not much, just 2 hours of show. That's awesome. It will be able to be watched. And that's awesome. Love you all. Thank you all. You guys are the best. And we'll check out. Peace.